So this morning, our Fireside Chat is on smart and sustainable cities, energy efficiency, renewable power, and sustainable transportations, subjects that our researchers across all 4 CITRIS campuses have studied for some time. Today, we are honored to have with us Associate Laboratory Director Johnny Green from the National Renewable Energy Lab and Program Director of the Department of Energy's Tech to Market IMPEL program, Reshma Singh. Dr. Johnny Green oversees NREL's transportation, buildings, wind, water, geothermal, advanced manufacturing, concentrating solar power, and Arctic research programs. He's a fellow of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, serves on the GEM Consortium Board of Directors, and is a proud alum of Georgia Tech and the University of Memphis. Reshma Singh, in addition to the IMPEL program, is on the California Energy Commission's R2M2 Microgrids program, and previously the Presidential U.S.-Indian Center for Building Energy Research and Development at the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. She's an expert in advancing urban sustainability and clean tech innovation, and experience in working with complex international ecosystems in the United States, India, and Singapore. Welcome, and we're looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Johnny. It's great to have you here at the wonderful symposium hosted by Jill and Camille and everybody at CITRIS, Diversity at Tech. It's wonderful to actually have an opportunity to talk with you as we are participants of the great movement in climate tech and this mega trend around the world where health and wellness are making an impact. And we're both representing 2 large national laboratories of the Department of Energy. I would love to kick it off, Johnny, with, if you'd like to introduce yourself, and I really love your whole journey from Memphis to NREL, where you are here today. Could you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure, Reshma, good morning. Thanks for having me. So, yeah, grew up down south, Memphis, Tennessee, and Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Both of my parents were educators, and they lived and were raised in Baton Rouge. And when they taught in the school system, they moved to Memphis. And so I was raised there for most of my life, and I attended K through 9 in Memphis, and then moved to Baton Rouge to attend high school in the 10th grade. And so went to Baton Rouge High School, spent some time there, and always was encouraged to pursue engineering because I had aptitude for math and science. So a lot of my teachers from K through 12 encouraged me to pursue engineering, and so applied to several schools to major in engineering, and so wound up going to the University of Memphis for undergraduate. And I never really had seen or been exposed to an engineer or knew any engineers, and so I chose mechanical engineering to major in because I put a lot of things together for my mother, growing up. And so that's why I chose mechanical. And so fortunately that worked out. And, after, choosing mechanical engineering and, attending the University of Memphis when I was near graduation, I was thinking about getting a job. And Georgia Tech, which was one of the schools that I actually wanted to go to for undergrad, reached out to me and said, hey, we've got this program called Focus, and it was being held on the weekend of the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. And so they invited myself and several other students to this Focus program in 1992, the inaugural one. And we were exposed to graduate opportunities. We were able to see other graduate students and professors of color. And it was extremely inspirational. And learned about the National GEM Consortium and the GEM Fellowship, which is a fellowship program for underrepresented minorities. So to make a long story short, I applied for graduate school at Georgia Tech and was fortunate enough to receive a GEM Fellowship for a master's degree. wrapped that up, and upon graduation, and I left out that I interned with Oak Ridge National Lab as a GEM fellow. So when I graduated, I had an offer from Oak Ridge, but I also had a opportunity to pursue my PhD at Georgia Tech. And so we worked out an arrangement where I could pursue my PhD while working at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory. And so that's what I did. My background was in combustion research and transportation research. So, did that for a while. I was a visiting researcher at Ford Motor Company for a little while during my time. I took an offsite assignment with the Department of Energy, working with them on their transportation programs. And that was, I think, back in 2002. Came back to Oak Ridge, became a researcher, became a group manager, and then just kind of took my journey into management, did that for several years. And about 5.5 years ago, I came to the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, where I am now, and I serve as an associate laboratory director. So, very fortunate to be here today and be in this position, and just had a lot of great mentoring and encouragement throughout my time here. And Reshma, I'd love to hear a little bit about your background as well.
Oh my God, that's really fascinating. I did not know the extent of your journey. And when I look at you, I always feel like a child can't be what a child can't see. And when we look at folks like you, it's really inspirational for youth to look at role models like you who've taken the journey and converted them into something really meaningful. My journey is very short and sweet. I grew up in New Delhi. I did architecture back in Delhi. And one of the things I worked in during my college days was I worked with a migrant family of potters in New Delhi in a slum, and I helped them to create houses out of the pots that they create from the wheel. And through that, I got an interest in architecture, which is what I studied. And about 10 years ago, I came to Berkeley Lab, where I could really harness the architecture side of me with the building science side of things. So I sort of married engineering and science and architecture together. So today I'm at the cross section of climate innovation and building technologies, which I feel is really around not just the technology part of it, which is what we do foster at the national labs and the science part of it, but also going from climate tech to climate culture. So it's really about human capital, investments, policy, the whole culture with this mega trend around climate technologies. And I'm really excited to see today the whole day fold out with building technologies at the center of it, because I feel like that's really the stage. Building and built environment is a stage where all of our human activity really plays out. And whether it's a building, what's inside the building, whether it's at the edge of buildings in terms of energy storage or EVs being charged on top of buildings or PV, photovoltaic, I think what we're doing in the national labs is so meaningful to the wider society. And I'd love to dig in more on how at National Renewable Energy Lab and the lab which I represent, which is Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, are coming together to create this change from climate tech to climate culture. And I should also maybe add here that currently I have two hats. I'm at Lawrence Berkeley, but I'm also a senior advisor at the US Department of Energy's Building Technologies Office. So this whole vision of creating smart, sustainable cities in terms of a vision for a zero carbon built environment that promotes wellness and equity and resilience is really at the heart of everything that we do. So maybe we'll go a little bit deeper, Johnny. How about you'd like to tell us, as an ALD of a very important national lab, over $1 billion of research, how are you really supporting climate technology, zero carbon buildings? How is NREL leading the charge in this area?
Reshma, thanks so much. And of course, we can't do this alone. We partner with other national laboratories like Lawrence Berkeley Lab, of course, and especially in the buildings technology space, we work with your team quite a bit, and you have a fantastic team there. There's, for those who may not know, there's 17 Department of Energy national laboratories spread throughout the country, and we all have different specialties and missions. And so at the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, our primary mission is, how do we advance energy efficient technologies, renewable energy technologies for a clean, energy future, trying to battle climate change and, just basically planetary health. And so one of the things that we're doing here that I'm really excited about is a few years ago, the Department of Energy announced the launch of the Advanced Research on Integrated Energy Systems, or ARES platform, which is really a set of capabilities that are really focused on the future energy system. How do we develop and architect the future energy system in a way that's clean, secure, resilient, and in a way that, you know, operates totally differently than the current energy system we have today. So right now we have a lot of centralized generation. A lot of it is a fossil fuel base. And so we've got, you know, emerging renewables. They're about maybe, you know, 20% of our power mix in the US right now, but we see that increasing substantially over, you know, the next decade or so. And so as that happens, the grid will operate differently. You have to have different, you know, systems in place, controls in place. So we're working with other labs to advance that. And then also, you know, Reshma, you talked about, you know, the importance of equity and environmental justice and those pieces as well. And so we're also working with the Department of Energy and Lawrence Berkeley Lab and Pacific Northwest Lab in Argonne on a program that we call Communities to Clean Energy, where we're trying to get that off the ground, where we can help cities achieve their clean energy goals. So, you know, cities like Los Angeles, for example, have, you know, talked about aspirations for 100% renewable energy. And so we've worked with them in the past to help them roadmap how to get there. And so we want to have a similar program for other cities so we can help them develop roadmaps to get there, but then also do the experimental validation to de-risk the technologies in a systems environment that's realistic, to help them not experiment on the, you know, the citizens when these technologies are deployed, but actually de-risk them in advance, and then do it in an equitable, just way, and try and make energy accessible for all. So those are some of the things that we're doing, but I know you're doing some great work with IMPEL and some other areas. So I'd love to hear, you know, what's your passion in this area, and what are some of your contributions?
Sure, Johnny. So I know that the ARES platform is a great place where our labs are collaborating. Berkeley Lab has actually been really pushing the envelope, not just on the science side of things, which is what we're better known for, but we have a division or an area called Energy Technologies Division. And there we are looking at 3 specific areas. One is the policy and assessment piece, which is environment assessments. The second is all around building technologies and urban systems. And the third is around energy storage and distributed resources. So the work that we do is more around applied research, which is really pushing to work with private sector entities and to work with the government, of course, at various levels, local, state, and federal, to bring together the pieces, whether it is investment in the areas of climate technology, whether it is policy, whether it is R&D and technology advancement. For example, on the assessment side of things, we've actually created something called a national roadmap for grid efficient energy buildings. And you know, that's something which is being used as a roadmap across the country through the DOE. Another example is the connected communities, which is a large federal opportunity that we are leading in terms of not just making the building efficient, but making sure that the communities become efficient and communities become a part of the puzzle. It's not really happening on a per system level, but on a comprehensive level. And finally, also talk about some of our microgrids work. So we're working with the Department of Defense on getting to like highly resilient microgrids by getting to a 14-day off-grid capability. So these are just some of the technology pieces. And I know, Johnny, you had mentioned IMPEL. IMPEL is actually a very interesting platform that we have for the Department of Energy, where we're trying to bring in more of the pipelines around innovation. So I know you're a mechanical engineer, I'm an architect, and we've sort of grown up with the STEM space, but there's a lot of people who really want to solve the climate challenge, and they really want to be participating in this space where they may not have a STEM background. So here through IMPEL, we are enabling startups and small businesses who are thinking about how to bring the 40% emissions that are being created by buildings down to levels which are controllable. And so these startups are working on technologies as well as systems to create both STEM as well as non-STEM solutions for climate in the built environment. So IMPEL is a platform where we're coaching and mentoring startups to take the journey, to take the technologies and ideas and projects into market commercialization. Innovation doesn't happen until technologies reach the market. So this is really important for us to dovetail the grants and non-dilutive funding, which is coming from the government side, as well as a private sector funding, which is coming from venture capitalists, seed funding, et cetera, and really enable startups to succeed in developing climate technologies and projects to take their ideas into market commercialization. And I would also say we're really pushing in the idea of diversity, because I think diversity should be at the center of everything that we do. So we are really helping to get the word out to folks who may not otherwise be involved in this space, whether it is diversity in terms of just the professional backgrounds, as I mentioned, STEM versus non-STEM, or it could be ethnic background, it could be regional background, it could be a background really because buildings and urban spaces are so inherently associated with our culture and our climate and the construction methods and the appetite for innovation. So we feel that getting regional diversity is also really important. So we work across the nation to enable what we call equitable entrepreneurship. And interestingly, we are also recruiting. So I'll just make a plug out for recruiting. Both NREL and LBL leadership are doing a lot in terms of recruiting for diversity, recruiting for getting various perspectives, because really, we really want the heads, heart, and hands together on the climate solutions. We want the culture of change. So just kind of a shout out. And Johnny, maybe if you also are doing work in diversity recruiting, maybe there's a time to mention that.
Yeah, thanks, Reshma. Yes, we have a similar passion around this, and it's critical as we architect this future energy system. We want to try and make it as equitable and accessible as possible. And as Reshma said, we're working with a lot of communities and cities, and really we need to have a workforce that's reflective of those communities and understands those communities. And so you have to build trust, earn trust, and to understand what the communities need, to engage them the appropriate way and partner together to develop solutions. And so just like Lawrence Berkeley Lab, we're very involved in the National Gym Consortium, where that's one avenue that we use. But yes, we would love if there's any folks here who are interested in either of our labs, we'd love for you to take a look at our jobs, and we'd love to have you on either team. And this is critical. We really need the best and brightest minds, and we need them for a diverse set of perspectives. So this is really important to us. And Reshma, thank you so much for bringing that up, because we share your passion for that, and we think it's essential for the future energy system.
Absolutely. And wearing my DOE hat, I can say that across the 17 national labs, we are working cohesively to really take science to the next future ambitions, and not just science, but also the biggest challenges that we face today. And one of them is right now health and wellness in the built environment, the living environment. So we really want to create the space for our youth and also various types of individuals who want to be included. Our idea initiative, which is inclusion, diversity, equity, and accountability at Berkeley Lab, is a way that we're really bringing in more and more diverse perspectives. And we really want to use both the IMPEL program as well as our charter with Justice for 40 at DOE and other initiatives through DOE to really bring in individuals where we can really make a change. It's not really about sitting on our workstations and doing cute diagrams or doing energy flows and things like that. It's really about collectively bringing people together. And I always say, Johnny, 1 and 1 don't make 2, it makes 11. So I think collectively the impact that we can have is going to be much bigger than we can have as individuals. So Johnny, I know we're almost at the end of time. Anything you'd like to add as last words?
Yeah, just to echo what you said, Reshma. This is diversity is extremely important, and you mentioned buildings. They're really at the center of our energy ecosystem, and that's changing. Now we have electric vehicles that connect to the buildings. The buildings have solar panels on them. We have like a solar innovation network. That's another Department of Energy program where we're working to get solar panels out to the community. So all of these technologies are changing. We're working with the federal government to deploy electric vehicle chargers. So we've got to look at all of these pieces and how they all work together. And once again, the buildings is the heartbeat of it, and we definitely have to have that integrated in there. And once again, you've got to be in the communities, understand the communities, and have a workforce that represents that. So really excited about what the future holds, and looking forward to partnering with Berkeley and other labs to take on this daunting energy challenge, but we can do it if we work together.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. I think with what you all are doing with CITRIS and the Diversity in Tech Symposium today is really bringing the people together so we can create that platform and take it forward. And I'd take a moment to thank everybody on the organization committee, Jill, Camille, and the teams to really start this important discussion on the week, which is International Women's Day. It is Women's History Month. And we feel like we can really help push the boundaries on this and come to a place where we can collectively harness and empower all of us to get to the next stage and really solve for the climate crisis. Thank you so much, Johnny, for your time, your expertise, and all of your work, and being a role model in this space. Thank you.
Thank you, Reshma.
Thank you so much, Johnny and Reshma. That was really an excellent start to our day. The introduction to your programs was inspiring and a great introduction for some of the other conversations we'll have about the built environment later on this morning. I also really appreciated your comments about your strategies to diversify the workforce and understand why that's so essential to have successful outcomes in the areas that we're all interested in.